Welcome to the Bill Cartwright Show. Our special guest today is one of my teammates, Jeff Sanders. Was very fortunate to play with Jeff. Very good player, great guy. And Jeff, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Bill. I'm happy to be on the show, and a very nice compliment that you said, you was fortunate to play with me. I think it's the other way around.
No, you know what's really interesting about you is that as a young guy coming in, it's really hard to be able to come in and kind of find your way. And I thought you were great. I thought you listened really well. I thought you worked really hard and did whatever's necessary, what the coaches thought you should do. And I think that a lot of people have this belief that that's really easy to do, because I have never met a person that doesn't want to play 40 minutes, lead the team in scoring and rebounding,
Right.
especially as a young guy. But I thought you did that really well, and I've always really appreciated that. This is what I want to do. I know you grew up down south. I want you to talk a little bit about that. And I was really interested. How did you end up in Georgia Southern? How did that happen?
Well, that was the influence of my mother. I was recruited to go to the University of Kentucky, much more than I was recruited to go to Georgia Southern, but my mother felt like that was too far away, so she told me I couldn't go. So I had the guidelines of her, So that's how I wound up at Georgia Southern, and I think I just made a decision that if I'm gonna be good enough, they'll find me there. So, and luckily, Jerry found me.
Now, who was the coach down there?
Frank Kearns.
You knew him really well. Obviously, you liked him.
Well, really, it was his assistant coach, Mike Backus, who got to know me and my family pretty well. And he convinced my mother to allow me to go down there, because the first visit where he brought Frank to see me play, he said Frank cussed him out. He said, "You wasting our money. There's no way this guy's going to come to this school." So, he didn't tell me that, of course, until after I had signed to come. He just told Frank that I'm going to work it out. I'll work it out. So that's what happened. And, Frank Kearns was a very interesting coach, very disciplined, and he never wanted to give any one player any accolades. It's all about the team. When I came to Chicago, I had that mentality. Things I've learned about basketball, from offensively and defensively, I learned from Frank. So it was relatively easy to go to the next level and think defense first, because that was his motto.
So when you went there, did you feel like you got better every single year?
Oh yes, definitely. I got better. I think I got better every year because the competition was quite stiff. I mean, one of the guys I had to play against, who wound up in the NBA, was Sam Mitchell. Sam Mitchell went to the University of Mercer, and he could fill it up. Yes, he could. We didn't play the same position, but I found myself guarding him a few times, but he could score.
So let me ask you, so once you finished college and you were going to get drafted, who did you think you were going to go to?
Actually, I thought I was going to go to Portland, because the scout for Portland had followed me my whole senior year, and they had the 22nd pick. I spoke to him the night before the draft, and he told me what to expect. He would call me and everything, so I just knew I was going to Portland. And then that morning, my agent called me and said, Bulls made a trade. They traded Brad Sellers, I think, to Seattle for the 20th pick, and that I could possibly come to the Bulls. So, I was excited, because at that time, I get to play with another great, two guard, because there were Michael and there was Clyde. And then Michael just, separated himself as the years went on. But I was excited about playing with like one. Didn't know that I was going to meet the great Bill Cartwright. Didn't know that.
So once you got drafted by the Bulls, what are you thinking now? I mean, did you feel like you were ready to be an NBA player?
I was a little nervous because I mean, it's the next level. It's just like coming out of high school, going into college. I was nervous, didn't know what to expect. And when I got here, um, during the summer league in LA, I played very well during the summer league. But I was playing against a lot of college players and a few NBA players that was on their second year. But once I came up against the Karl Malones and Charles Barkley and Rick Horn, now you see it's a totally different ball game, a lot more physical. And and the quote that Michael used to say is rookies can't get hurt. So I had that in my mindset that I wasn't going to complain. I wasn't going to, say anything about nothing. If I got hurt, I just got hurt. I'm going to pull through.
So what were you thinking about your first training camp?
Um, well, just getting through the first week of training camp because I didn't know what to expect. And, once we got through that first week, I got over the soreness and I began to learn more. I think my biggest challenge was we used to work out with Al Vermeil, and Al was doing the Olympic lifting and the snatches and the cleaves and the eight skip, all the stuff like that. What does this have to do with basketball? But as the season went on, I saw how it helped the mechanics of running and jumping. So that was very, very necessary.
Yeah, because I always talk about the fact that, I never did any running drills, clean snatches until I came to Chicago
Right, right.
and it worked out with Al Vermeil. And it was great. It was great. It was learning.
Yeah, yeah.
Before then, it was really traditional kind of lifting.
Right, right.
So after your year with the Bulls, what'd you think? Because we played well, we played really well. We got to the playoffs.
Yeah, lost to the
Unfortunately, we
Bulls.
lost to our dreaded Pistons.
Yeah, yeah, game seven. Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, my biggest issue was I was injured, so I had a broken foot, and I was a little, down about that because again, I'm coming from a college atmosphere where everybody's family, and I didn't understand the business aspect of it. So okay, I'll just heal, get better, come back the next year, and see how everything goes, and wind up getting traded. So that was frustrating because my relationship with Jerry, I thought was uh, it sort of kind of diminished after the trade because I'm thinking and listening to him tell me one thing and then he does something different. So it became a little diminished as far as us communicating. But I still came around and still trained and worked out. We got along after that. I never had any issues with Jerry. So, it was a lesson learned.
Okay, so what happened after the trade? Where'd you go?
Well, they traded me to Miami, and now the interesting thing about going to Miami, Ron Rothstein was the coach, and I come down there with the mentality of, hey, we got to win some games. I'm coming from playing with the Bulls. We want this, we want that. I got Michael. Everybody. So I can get down there. Guys start telling me, man, just like you check and go home. So we understand that you want to win, but that's we're an expansive team, and you know we don't think like that down here. So just collect your check and go home. And that was kind of hard for me to deal with. I don't want to say the coach had the same mentality, but he had a mentality that he would pick who he wanted to create something with. And I happened to be one of the guys that he created an issue with. And he began telling me that he didn't want me to shoot the ball anymore. And I'm like, well, why not? He said, I don't want you to number, rebound, defensive rebound. And I think we were playing against Sacramento. And Ralph Sampson was guarding me. And Cycling was out, Leon Rice was out. And I'm trying to think who else may have been out. But, I was having a pretty good first half. So halftime, he said, don't take another shot. All I want you to do is rebound. You shoot again, coming out, you're not gonna play anymore. So I did my best not to shoot anymore. And then one particular possession, they swung the ball to me with 2 or 3 seconds on the shot clock. So I just threw it at the basket and Coach clock was going to win. He took me out the game, and I said, "But Coach, the clock was right." He said, "I don't care. I told you not to shoot the ball." So I didn't play anymore in the preseason. So quite naturally, he and I didn't get along. So he told me, he gave me an option. He said, "Well, if you want to leave, like I said, I didn't understand the business aspect of it. He said, if you want to leave, I can put you on waivers." And I said, "Well, what is waivers?" He said, "Waivers is for another team to pick you up within 24 to 48 hours." I said, "Okay, well, put me on that." And then he did. So the agent called me. He said, "You asked to be cut?" I said, "No, I didn't ask to be cut. He told me that he could put me on waivers and give another team an opportunity to pick me up." So he just asked to be cut. And I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know the business aspect of it. So it was a hard lesson, and then that's kind of how the career of me playing all over the place started.
Okay, so after you were put on waivers, where'd you go?
I went and played in the CBA under George Carl in Albany, New York.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I happened to play with George in Seattle. So what was your experience with George?
Well, I really liked George. George, to me, was a player's coach. I mean, he was a former player, and he understood the ins and outs, as well as the injuries, the dealing rest, and everything. So I really liked playing for George. In fact, Terry Stotts was my teammate at the time because he played with us also. So I had a great time. With George. I mean, we had a great team. We held the record for CBA at the time. We only lost 6 games in that season, won 50. So we had a great team.
Okay, so where'd you go from there?
I went to Atlanta. I mean, well, in the CBA, I was when Dominique Wilkins tore his Achilles, I knew I was getting called up. So I guess the teams knew it also. So they began trying to get something for me. So I think I got traded to Michigan, and then from Michigan to Indiana, and then from Indiana I went to the Hawks. All within, I think, a month or two time. It's crazy, but yeah, I went. They traded me to Grand Rapids, and then from Grand Rapids I went to Fort Wayne, and I think I was only in Fort Wayne for like maybe a week or 2. And then I was with Atlanta.
Wow, that's a lot of moving around. And I think what's really interesting, because when I was in New York, I played for 5 different coaches. I had 2 in Chicago, 1 in when I was with Seattle. But all of those coaches have a different vision for you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of up to you to adapt to that vision.
Right.
And it's not easy because everybody wants you to play a different role.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think that's the really amazing thing in talking about all the teams that you played for. Were those roles all different or were they similar?
Well, it was pretty much the same because they needed me to score, so I scored the ball. The thing was, when I was going to be called up, it was, okay, we need you to, we need you to get something for him. And, but then once I come back to the NBA playing in Atlanta, my role changed because I had, a superstar on the team already. So my role became more of a defensive player and a passer. And I had no problem with that, because playing with Dominique was no different than when I played with you guys. Throwing the ball to Michael. So I had no problem with it. But I just wanted to, continue to play. I think what happened with after that, you get offered the minimum to stay in the league and play. And somebody overseas want to give you 3 times that amount. What do you do? Do you stay and try to stay in the league, and you don't make the money? So that's why I left to go make the money.
Yeah, so you did go overseas. So where did you go first?
I went to Spain. And I was there for I think 3 months when I first went there. It was from January to March, I think. And then I came back, and I was hoping to come back to the NBA, but again, I was offered, the minimum. I think at that time, 175, and then I had a team in Madrid offered me 550. So, I mean, it's kind of obviously what I'm doing.
It's obvious to me.
Yeah. So that's what kept me away from coming back and trying to get back into the league until '98 when they did the collective bargaining agreement. It changed. So then that's what made me come back to the Bulls. I think you were there, so wound up breaking my foot again. Same foot, different toe, same foot. So, the luck of the draw, as they say.
Talk about the differences between playing overseas and playing in the United States. Just as far as because we always hear that they practice so much more overseas than they do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we would have a morning practice and evening practice. Most of the time, the morning practice is we lift weights, get some shooting, do some drills. Then we'll come back in the evening, and then we practice. And when you're playing once a week or twice a week, that's a lot of practice time. So, and I think and some of the floors were pretty bad, over here because they were like the NBA floors where you had a little air pocket and a lot softer on your knee than playing in Europe where you have concrete and just some flat wood on top of concrete and no cushion between. So, as you know, Bill, as you taught me, that little man on your knee with that torch said, heat it up, cool him off. It was different, very different, but I enjoyed it because the fans, they treated you like you were a superstar. So I enjoyed it.
So you played in a lot of different spots overseas. What are some of the places that you played?
Well, I was in Spain for 3.5 years. I played a year in Italy. And, well, put it like this: I played half a year in Italy because you would never guess, and you've known me all these years. I flunked the drug test.
They have drug testing over there?
They drug tested us. I flunked the drug test. Now, when they told me that I flunked the drug test, I really almost lost my mind. I'm like, man, I don't drink, so I don't do drugs. But the drug, they said, was in Theraflu. You remember the Theraflu drink? When they first came out with that?
Of course.
So I was sick. I had a cold. I came home. I went, for a vacation. Came back. Bought a couple boxes of Theraflu because I was really sick. And he said in the Theraflu it has ephedrine or something like that, or ephedrine, which is supposed to be, I don't know, antihistamine or something like that helps open your lungs up so that you can breathe. And I say, well, that's illegal. They say, yes, that's an illegal drug in Europe. I think the name of I forgot the name of the league in Spain. And I was like, are you kidding me? I guess they fought it for about 3 months, and then had to release me in, I think it was January. And I was really shocked. I said, Theraflu. I said, obviously it didn't help me. I said, we won the game. I think I only had 7 points and 7 rebounds. I said, so it didn't help me. But it didn't matter that you flunked the drug test. So I have that on my record.
Well, now, no Theraflu over there. None of that.
Right.
No Theraflu. Imagine if you could have got some NyQuil or something.
Well, yeah.
You may still be locked up over there.
You're right. Yeah. So that was interesting. But, I went and played in Italy. And after Italy, I came back to Spain for another year and left and went to Turkey. But the only reason I went to Turkey, again, was for the money. Because at first, my agent kept trying to get me to go to Turkey. I was like, no, I don't want to go to Turkey. Over there fighting, war, and all kind of no. And then he told me the amount of money they wanted to pay me per month. I said, well, okay, well, what the contract look like? I get a break to come home. So that, and come to find out, my coach was friends with Jerry Krause. So he knew Jerry very well.
Jeff, are you surprised how much the quality of play has improved in Europe in the 20 years since and since Barcelona Olympics?
Well, I'm not really surprised. I think that because I saw that when I was over there, a lot of guys who played. The difference was they were never physical. And, they did a lot of flopping. All the stuff I see in the NBA now, I think that's European basketball. So, because that's all they did over there. They flop, fake, get the foul, just like you see in the soccer games and stuff like that, that carried over to the basketball court. And so I was never impressed with that.
There was the perception that they were soft, right?
Yes.
And now that seems like it's a little bit different, right? Like you had that with Tony Kukoc, right? Where people felt he was soft.
Right. Now, Tony was a heck of a player, though. Tony was one to watch if he was in Europe, Yeah.
So your last year of play, what was that? Were you in Rockford? Was that your last year?
Yes. Yeah, I was playing under our teammate Stacey King. He was the coach. But that was my last year in Rockford. My last year playing was Rockford. I was done after that.
Let me ask you a quick question. How did you know you were done?
Well, physically I could still do it, but I just was, tired of the whole, running all over the place, politics of it, and because I had an opportunity to go and play in France. A couple of different teams in France wanted me, and a few other places, but this was right after 9/11. So my attitude was, that's what made me go to the CBA, because after 9/11, nobody wanted to get on the airplane and go anywhere. So that's what made me go to the CBA. And then I stayed like a year and a half, and I was just like, okay, because I came back to try and play for the Bulls again, and Jerry, act like he was interested, and then again, as I said before, he said one thing, he did something else. I was like, all right, man, okay, whatever. I left it alone.
Well, now that you're a retired player, talk about what are those challenges like, being a retired player and you're looking for your next career?
Well, the challenges are more or less, depending on what you're trying to do, trying to stay in coaching and stay around basketball on that professional level. I think it's more of, yes, you can go take the classes and learn the scouting part of it, the coaching part of it, but it still boils down to who's going to give you that chance to come and, be on their roster as a coach or as a scout or anything. So I think it's still more of your relationships that you have with people. I think that's one of the most important things. And if you don't have a good rapport with people, I don't care how much you learn and how smart you are, guys, it's not going to take chances on you. GMs are not going to take chances on you. Neither will coaches. So, if you don't have a good relationship, you've been a coach, you know how that relationship is. That's very important.
So talk about what did you do directly after playing?
I was actually directly after I finished playing. I was a part of a medical software company, and we did medical transcriptions in 24 hours with coding. So I fell off into that, and I stayed with that until about 2007. And then I went into working with the youth, foster children, and doing that. And from there, working with the Chicago Urban League, mentoring children, trying to do stuff to help the youth, because, you look at the way of the world, and, ones that's in most trouble now is the youth. I've always loved kids, and I just always felt I needed to give back to, the youth.
So how did you get into that? Working with the Urban League?
Actually, a friend of mine, he's a child police officer, Marco Johnson. He was working there, and he just told me what his involvement was. He's also the president of the Police Athletic League, which they have a chapter here that does summer stuff for the kids with basketball and baseball, taking them on trips and stuff like that. So I got involved with him on that. I became the chapter president.
talk about the Retired Players Coaches Association. How'd you get involved in that?
Cliff Levinson.
Cliffy.
Come out and support, what he was doing, and he would go coach in Canada, and he asked me if I would take be the president. And at first I was like, oh man, I don't know, I'm not interested in that. And then he and Sam Vincent, convinced me to do it, so that's what made me get involved with being, president of the Retired Players, the Chicago chapter.
Yeah, because I think that's such a great thing, because what happens a lot, I feel like once you're out of the league, you lose touch.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you're not involved in any teams, and quite frankly, nobody knows you. So you're looking to get a ticket for the game. So to have that kind of connection to other coaches, players, I think is really invaluable, especially as far as the guidance with healthcare.
Right.
And what you guys were doing, I thought that was really outstanding.
Right. Yeah. It's very necessary. I mean, that was one of the things we were discussing back then, that we have to stay involved and not only give back to the community, but, really just look out for one another, because, like you said, it's forgotten about. And, you look up to myself, oh, yeah, I remember him, So just try to stay in the public eye, doing something positive and helping each other.
I just want to ask you two more questions. What do you think is the toughest challenge for a retired player?
I think depending upon the player, I think the toughest challenge is the inclusion or the non-inclusion. Where they don't get included in certain things, as far as where when they were playing in the league, everybody wanted to be around them. Everybody wanted them to be, included in this, included in that, and then once you retire, we think that we want to get away from everything for a little while and then come back to it. I said, that's the difference in you retire and when you still playing, still active. So I think the hardest thing is unless you are a superstar, once you step away and you don't need that limelight, but you like it, and it's not there anymore. I think that's one of the toughest things is guys start doing unnecessary things, because I think that's one of those forms of needing somebody to talk to, some kind of mental assistance or something like that, because that's really serious. I've seen a lot of guys that get kicked out of the league or retire, when they don't want to retire, they're forced to retire.
Right.
And next thing you hear about them when they're on drugs or they pass away or whatever. And it's just so many things that go on because they don't get the same recognition, especially if they have a bad rap.
Jeff, how's your family?
Oh, everybody's good. Everybody's good, man. My daughter she graduated from college. Now she's in grad school. She's doing what she's supposed to. So, I'm proud. I'm a proud dad, so I love it.
Awesome. Well, Jeff, thank you so much. I really enjoyed our time here.
Right.
As a matter of fact, we could go a lot longer, but I appreciate your time. I've always appreciated you. And the biggest thing is that, especially what you're doing now with communicating with guys, and we've talked about helping guys along the way, helping guys who are in trouble. I think that's invaluable. And I don't think you really know that people really, really appreciate you. So I do. And thank you very much for being on.
Well, Bill, anytime you say anything, I'm going to be available. Y'all don't understand out there. That's my man. Yes, sir. Billy C. Now, he didn't tell you why I call him Teach, right? Well, because when we were playing, if you reach your hand in there to try to get the ball, you would catch your elbow real quick. It was like, I'm going to teach you not to reach. So that name stuck all these years.
I always thought there was another reason why they called him that, because he was a good leader.
Oh yeah, definitely that. But first it became you reach and you gonna catch it.